Hey, Will, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm okay. Besides having to talk to me, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's a pleasure to reconnect. The last time I had the pleasure of speaking with you, you were promoting Film Fest, which, although not a career highlight for you, I think it was a great project. Do you have memories of it being a great project?
Yeah, my good pal Marshall Cook, one of my best friends in the world, wrote and directed that and produced it and edited it and was in it for a minute. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Anytime I get to work with Marsh, you know, I see him all the time anyway, so it worked out.
And you've been working nonstop since then, not just on film and TV projects, but the Dudesy podcast. You are beyond prolific on social media, which I'd say you've been about for 8 years now. So it never stops with you. Does it get hard when you're doing junkets sometimes where you go, which one am I promoting right now?
Um, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I barely do publicity of any kind. So I'm stoked to be talking to you. I don't really get a chance much to talk about the things that I'm doing for real. I just kind of do them, which is fine with me, but it's also cool to talk about it so that I go, oh yeah, I'm doing this and that.
Well, it's great to see that you wound up in the Ballad of Uncle Drank. It's a wonderful cast, yourself included. I'm assuming you're well past the point of traditional auditions. So who was your hook or what was your hook to get involved in this project?
They reached out to me and asked if I would play Uncle Drank. Jared Goodstadt, who's the helmer over at Audio Up and his merry band of weirdos. Zach Selwyn, Jesse Siebenberg. These guys are like, they're not just funny guys. They also are very steeped in music. They're legitimate, incredible musicians. And they reached out to me and said, would you like to join this thing and voice Uncle Drank? So it was kind of the last piece for them.
Right, you joined the project in process. So the music, I'm assuming, was all done when you got to it?
Yes, all but my voice. I sing the songs, but yeah, so I was like, huh? You guys did what now? This is very impressive. And they're like, stand closer to the mic. And I go, I'm really blown away by all of that. Please, we don't have much time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think everyone realizes that you can sing and that you're a music fan because you haven't put that to the front of stuff the way that other performers do. Like, for example, the cast of that 70s show, they'd be like, oh yeah, I was at the REM gig last night. And they'd be try to be seen at all that. And in your case, we only kind of saw you at wrestling and comics and Star Wars kind of stuff, never music. Was music always a focal point for you?
No, I mean, I'm a music head like most people. That's how I describe my fandom so that people know that I'm a fan of bands and music. I'm a music head. Who's your favorite band? I'm a music head. But yeah, anytime I get a chance to do anything musical, I'm stoked to do it because yeah, I would describe myself as a music hobbyist. I barely, I barely do anything that people would hear. I guess, you know what I mean? It's
Was
just
it
for
part of,
me.
right, right. Was it part of your improv background, the musical end or the singing end? Because I know some improv schools, they do that, for lack of a better term, that whose line is it anyway thing where the piano player starts playing and then you have to improvise the verse around it. And then other schools go, why would you be singing? You're an improv comic.
Right. No, I never really, I mean, it's like anytime I get to do music, I'm blown away. But no, I haven't had any sort of training or anything, which I would, which obviously, which shows. When I was on the old sketch program, Mad TV, our composer, Emmy-winning composer, Greg O'Connor, did all the music on that. And so when I would go in and, we would all go in and sing and do this and that, my musical improv was pretty much just goofing around with Greg, on his synthesizer, coming up with weird, with this and that and that and this. So that was pretty much where my musical improv background came from. We're sitting at his grand piano, coming up with Randy Newman stuff.
I get the vibe. You're one of those people that can sing if it's in a different voice or an impression, but you go, I don't want to do that in my real voice. I'm not doing karaoke unless it's a joke.
Yeah, that's, I guess, the thing. A lot of people are like embarrassed to actually sing.
Yeah,
Uh,
one of them.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I need to be in very select company to be like at a coat karaoke, like a private karaoke bar, and then as soon as the person comes in and goes, "Here's your popcorn and chicken," I'll stop. Um, but yeah, it's way more comfortable if you're just playing a character, I guess.
So back to Uncle Drank, you were the last piece of the puzzle. Were you around any of the other talent? Like, was anyone feeding you the lines, or was it an engineer going, "Now I say this"?
No, I was fortunate to have any one of our producers there, whether it's Jesse or Zach or Jared himself. So yeah, no, I didn't work with any of the other cast directly, which I prefer it that way. I mean, just economically speaking, it's faster. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do it back and forth the way you would in a normal visual situation. It just doesn't lend itself to that as much. And if you're working with a good producer and good writers and a good director, and I'm speaking mostly in like animation and stuff, they know what they want. And I think it's your job as an actor to know what to bring and be versed on the whole script. And I think it actually does work better for the final product. It's just everything is zippier and everything is delivered with intent. So yeah, I have not met and worked with Billy Zane, who plays the Blendy, or Chelsea Lynn or Luke Wilson or Kinky Friedman. Anyway.
Kinky Friedman, yeah. I've had the pleasure of interviewing. Snow contributes to this, pleasure of interviewing. So it's weird that I've met more of the people than you. That's not right or correct for perceived stuff.
Yeah.
Or have you met Uncle Kracker?
I've never met Uncle Kracker, and now I am singing on a song with Uncle Kracker. So, and I prefer to keep it that way. I'm sure I'll meet the gentleman at some point, but I would almost prefer that he's just like, why'd you put him on this?
No.
And just leave it that way and go, I have a song with Uncle Kracker. But yeah, no, I haven't met him.
Yeah, your bio has to be updated. And he's worked with such multi-platinum superstars such as, and then there you go. So random question or two or three, and then I let you go. And the first one is, I'm one of those people that ordered the Ric Flair roast, and you had a video in there. And your video, do you remember taping it? I'm asking you that before I go into my question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
You got interrupted a few times with the knock on the door. And where I thought that was going was part of a storyline thing, and someone was going to interrupt you and then you were going to chop them or something like that. I didn't realize you were actually being interrupted a few times while taping that.
I was on set, I was shooting something, and I was in a trailer, and that was actually a guy coming in going like, no, we need you now. And then I think, but the first couple of times it was him, and then then I was like, oh, I guess this is the bit. So then I'm reacting to nobody saying, I'll be right there, because I was, Conrad Thompson reached out and was like, hey, would you record a thing for Ric Flair's roast? I'm like, absolutely. And then I didn't know what the heck I was going to do or talk about, but I was like, yes, absolutely. I will be sending you a video, Conrad.
Well, that was the question that I was going to tag on. Were you part of the cult of Conrad? Was that your loop into this whole thing?
I mean, I guess I'm in the cult of Conrad. If you know what you're doing when you're listening to podcasts, you're a Conrad cultist. I got the big flowy white robe with the world championship strap airbrushed onto it, RVD style. Yeah. That's, of course, that's the costume for the cult of Conrad. And occasionally I'll come out with Al Snow's head, and I go to the Cult of Conrad church, and I shake the head and dance around to hippie music. No, I mean, what that guy's done with podcasting, forget it. It's unbelievable. And all of it, from the first Ric Flair podcast, his first podcast, I've been a listener, and it's it's the greatest stuff because there's a guy, whatever, I could talk all day about what that guy's done. An encyclopedia brain sitting there asking the questions that you would ask and the questions that you would never think of because his knowledge is so vast. It's perfect.
With or without the rumor and innuendo, as they would say on there.
Right.
So with the era of Mad TV you were on, they worked a lot with WWE, a lot of cameos, a lot of references and skits. Were you a lifelong fan of wrestling before that, or did that make you a fan?
No, I was a lifelong fan. So I was blown away that we were, well, the first thing was the first time we did anything with wrestlers, we had Bret Hart on the show.
Yeah.
And our executive producer, Brian Hart, no relation, he's Canadian, I'm Canadian, Bret is Canadian. And Brian is a big wrestling fan. And he was the first one who was like, we should have these guys on. There's a similar audience. Wouldn't it be fun? They would be great sketches if we could get these guys on. We could figure out what we're going to do. But maybe we can spin it into something extracurricular. And that was music to my ears. I was like, are you kidding me? And then to get to do, this and that and that and this with those guys over the years was, as much as I'm one of those wrestling fans who's like, keep the celebrities out of it. It's always trash. I consider myself a wrestling purist, and my stuff, I feel the same way. I'm watching, I'm going, what are you do? Why the heck would you? This is terrible. Get out of there. And the audience is giving you the, like the real go away heat, which is shocking to be in there going like, do. And they're like,
are you referring to the Three Stooges segment and all that? Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was rough. That was rough.
I had the pleasure of interviewing your co-star Chris from that film, who is not a wrestling fan and definitely was traumatized from that.
Listen, I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I had the advantage of having done that a couple of times. So I said to Sean Hayes and Chris Diamantopoulos, I was like, so when we get out there, you're going to walk down the ramp and people are going to scream things at you that you have never heard before in your life. And they're going to try to take you off your game. And they truly hate that we're here. But it's going to be fine. I don't know. Of course, everyone working backstage at the WWE, that is a company that is run so it's run so well that by the time you've gone out there in the afternoon and we've geeked around with Glenn Jacobs, Kane, and of course Paul Levesque, Triple H is in control of everything and sort of structuring the bit and going this, that, change this and that. And it was a very fluid situation, all of us working together. But the guys here, I got to tell you this one. They were like, oh, he's wonderful. Glenn, what a nice guy, Glenn. And then we're about to go out there and I go, oh, you know what? I forgot. I wanted to ask Glenn if you do. And we just had this little bit that we're like, we got to make sure of like, so I'm going to do the Hulk up and then you'll do like the tilt head, and go in for the choke slam. And I hope everyone imbibing your program right now knows what the heck I'm talking about. At any rate, a big guy in his outfit is going to, a 7-foot giant, or whatever, 7 foot with the shoes. But they go, oh yeah, one of the agents is like, yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. And Kane comes in, he goes, so what did you want to do? And the guys are, now he's Kane. He's got the mask and everything. And in the afternoon, he's Glenn and he's like, in a t-shirt going, yeah, sounds good. And he's of course crazy, huge and intimidating and giant, bowling ball shoulders and muscles. But I was like, yeah, and then thick. And he goes, yeah, and then all blah, blah, blah. And the guys are just looking at him like, what is this? And he looks at them and clocks that and goes, oh God, guys, it's me, it's Glenn and Kane. And they're like, and I was like, oh, thank goodness he came over here because they didn't even know what he looked like. Like we would have been in the ring and the music would have hit and the pyro and they would have literally, soiled themselves going, what is this? Get out of here. It was insane. And the crowd was like, they were like, get out of here. And I get it. That was also during the part of WWE where every other week there was someone, you know, getting in there and slapping them. Yeah, and just always slapping the Miz around, you know, or Ziggler or whoever is tasked with, you do the thing with the celebrity, you know, Santino Marella did some stuff with us. And it's like, I'm like, you guys are incredible performers, incredible artists. And you get these, you know, again, celebrities come in there and go, what is this about? I'm going to throw a punch. It's like you got Jay Leno putting Hulk Hogan in a headlock. It's like, I don't buy any of this. It's terrible. It's terrible. So the least I can do is like, please choke slam me as hard as you can so that this audience feels like they haven't, like that's all they want, is for the celebrity to actually, not for like, you know, not for them to get one over on the wrestlers. They want to see these guests get hit in the face with a steel chair. I'd be happy to do that too.
Well, if I can tie that all together with a compliment before I let you go, you had your on-screen feud with Bret Hart. You worked with Kane on camera. You had an off-screen feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin by accident. You were part of the Ric Flair roast. I think you are a future WWE Hall of Famer based on those celebrity accolades and credits.
Well, I disagree, and I think that only if in the future I'm able to. Here's what I need to accomplish in the world, in the entire world of pro wrestling.
Okay.
I need to be an entrant in the Royal Rumble.
Oh, okay.
Either as the San Diego Chicken, as Pete Rose has made famous,
yeah,
or as the Gobbledygooker. So if I can pull that off, if they have some like gimmick battle royal that they used to have like in WrestleMania years gone by, that would be incredible. Me and, you know, I'm sure probably he's not perhaps not able to hit the ring, and I say this with all due respect because I love what this man did, but like the Iron Sheik maybe tossing me over the top rope and I hit the ground and my gobbledygooker head comes off, and then it's like, who's that? And then I don't know, and then that's it. And then maybe the next year I make the Hall of Fame, but they have to start like a different wing, like the jobber wing, and then and also I want my speech to be cut off by music as soon as I start to talk, and that should not be available during the broadcast or on Peacock or anything. It should be on, and it shouldn't even be on social media. It should only be on Tout, which doesn't exist anymore.
Or Vine, which you were the king of.
Which also doesn't exist. Yes, it'll just be like on a Vine server. I'm sure it's somewhere where you have to literally type in the URL, and then you get to see me walk out with like, you know, and it's super old school, walk out with two of the divas, but it's not. It's just two perhaps office workers. Yeah, and they're superstars. And then and we walk out, and then people might be like, ooh, I wonder if Kane's going to come out and, you know, choke slam him into the podium. Nope, he's busy. He's the mayor of Knoxville, and he's not showing up for this. So anything underwhelming, I would like to be a part of now. Anything where the audience gets their druthers, you know, where they get to see me take a stunner, get bent backwards in a sharpshooter, or hit the ring, and it is hard with a choke slam.
Will, you've got attainable goals. That's what I'm learning here. So
yeah.
So to recap, I think this induction may eventually happen. They may run out of celebrities, and therefore that slots you up there. But
they have to really run out of celebrities. Let's put it that way.
But in the meantime, Ballad of Uncle Drank, congratulations on that. And looking forward to whatever is coming next, whether it's the Dudesy podcast, whether it's the great social media content, a cameo here or there, whatever it is. Thank you for being you, Will.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, man.
Paltrocast.